Here I am, once again, stuck in a writer's block. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen was such a great book. How will I ever write a paper that can do these words some justice? If only I had the real Jane Austen here to help me. Jane Austen, is that really you? Wow, dreams do come true.
Yes, young lady, it is I, Jane Austen. I've traveled in time all the way from 1813 to 2014 to help you with your project.
Wow, Jane, you traveled a whole 200 years to help me with a project? I am honored. Thank you so much for sitting down. I just have a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
What would you like to know?
Well, I guess my first questions are about you. Where were you born, and what was your childhood like? What kind of events have formed you into the woman and author that you are?
I was born on the 17th of December in 1775 in Hampshire, England. I was born into a hard-working family of educated people that were not royalty, but had enough money to pay for what we wanted. At a young age, I was sent to Oxford School with my sister, but we both caught typhus, and I was close to dying. I survived and continued my education from home with my smart father as my teacher, in an environment filled with amazing literature to fill my boredom. As a teenager, I experimented with types of writing topics and styles which many people at that time did not approve of.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you had a very eventful and fortunate childhood. You say that people at this time did not approve of the writing styles that you were experimenting with as a teenager. Tell me more about this time period that you are from.
The late 1700s and early 1800s in England are a time of divide between the classes, a time of inequality between men and women, a time of political unrest, and also the start of the Industrial Revolution. Those who have money have all the influence and power in business and government, while those who do not have any money are treated with disrespect and looked down upon. This era also, unfortunately, has a great divide between men and women. All women are expected to marry a man and also become slaves to their husband. As women, I sometimes have a little voice of opinion, and I'm supposed to look towards a man and all the guidance in all I do. This topic is something I love very much and use it to highlight it in my writings. As a female author during this time period, my books are often my only voice, and I like to take advantage of that. I don't cover politics as much in my works, but back in the 1800s, a group of evangelical Christians who are very influential in the government are campaigning to put an end to slavery. I don't know what will happen with that issue quite yet, but I guess since it's the future, I could find out. The Industrial Revolution is also growing quickly around me. All sorts of inventions are suddenly being manufactured in England. Such an exciting time.
I had no clue that your era was so interesting. Now back to more about you. What have you written other than Pride and Prejudice?
Like I said earlier, I wrote many short stories and poems as a teenager, but I have indeed published another book called Sense and Sensibility. I am in the process of writing a few books called Mansfield Park and Emma. We will see if those ever become published.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for all the info about yourself, Miss Austen. Now back to the book. 281 pages of drama and humor. Will you please describe the setting of Pride and Prejudice?
The story takes place in the early 1800s in England, which is where I'm from. Many of the issues surrounding my daily life also surrounded the characters of my book, such as the power inequality between men and women.
Okay. Now, what happens in Pride and Prejudice?
This story, told in the third person, is centered around the young Bennet sisters and their relationships with others as they all look for love. When the most attractive Bennet sister, Jane Bennet, attracts the attention from the town's most desirable and wealthiest young man while dancing together at a ball, everything in the world of the Bennets begins to shift. Elizabeth Bennet, another sister, also makes efforts to attract men while dancing, which pushes her to meet the undesirable and arrogant Mr. Darcy. The two decide that they cannot stand each other, even though Mr. Darcy secretly loves Elizabeth. Then, after being rejected while proposing to Elizabeth, Mr. Darcy distanced himself as well as Mr. Bingley away from the Bennet family. This causes conflict within the Bennet bunch. So, while the Bennets experiences problems with money, the group of sisters continues their hunt for decent young men to marry. The youngest and most foolish Bennet sister runs away with a former family friend of the Bennets, causing a scandal in the family and almost costing the reputation of the sisters. But when none other than Mr. Darcy buys the family's way out of a potentially horrible situation, Elizabeth is forced to rethink her opinion of Mr. Darcy and also his proposal. I am not going to go into the ending.
Thank you for that incredible summary, Jane. Also, thank you for not spoiling the end of your incredible book. It truly has been an amazing experience to talk to you about this influential piece of literature. I cannot believe that you time traveled all the way from 1813 just to help me with a project. This has been an honor.
The pleasure is all mine. I love to brag about my work. After all, I actually do greatly resemble the character of Elizabeth Bennet. Also, now I got to go home and brag about time travel. Now I'm off to return to my own time.
With some help from Jane Austen, Summer finished her paper. Now she understands the importance of the novel. The themes written way back in 1813, such as love, friendship, and tolerance towards one another, still apply to the lives of people in 2014. That is why this book continues to be read and referenced in today's literature and entertainment.